All right, everyone, welcome back
Sweet.
to another episode of the Two Planker Podcast. I'm your host, Ethan Schaefer, and today on the show we got Sam McKernan, and he is the
Yeah,
founder of Vulgus. And Sam, what's up, dude?
doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm happy to have you here.
Yeah,
I'm going to give you a little backstory for how you got here. So usually, at the end of the episodes and after we're finished recording, I ask the guests like, "Oh, who do you want to hear on the podcast?" And Talty Dan
right.
wanted to hear about your company.
No
And
way.
yeah, and when I posted the
So
viewer
cool.
question, when I posted the slide on Instagram, I said, "Who do you guys want to hear from?" We got a ton of requests for you, so the people want to
Nice.
hear what you have to say.
Cool. Well, I've actually been messaging a bit. Talty Dan, super nice dude. Never met him in real life, but what he's doing is super cool too. So it's super cool that he it comes from him. That's awesome to hear that.
Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
let's start off with the basic. Where are you at right now? You're in Montreal?
Yeah. Well, I'm in Montreal, in the suburbs of Montreal, so Laval, right outside of Montreal, and all the skiing happens in the Laurentians, so like a 30-minute drive from Montreal, and that's where everything happens. And lucky enough to have big a lot of homies from everywhere that kind of help me around. I have a lot of friends in Quebec City too, so a bit everywhere now. But most of it is in Montreal. Everything happens in Montreal, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I love Montreal, one of my favorite cities for sure. I've talked about it before on the show, so I'll spare everybody. But um, were you born and raised there?
Yeah, so I was born in Montreal, raised in Laval, just in the suburbs, and yeah, raised in Laval and started going up north in the Laurentian skiing with my father when I was in grade two, I believe, or something like that, grade three. So always lived in Laval, Montreal area, and we have a cottage now up in kind of the ski area. So I spent a lot of time in the Laurentians and then back in Montreal. So back and forth, but always in the same area since I was born. Yeah.
Cool, cool. And I
Yeah.
and with the business episode, it's always hard to tell. How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
Okay, cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it when somebody young is on to talk about their company. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it happened really fast. I guess I'm still young. Sometimes I kind of, I want to do so many things, but I'm only 20 years old when I think about it. But yeah, still try to do everything while I'm young, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. So maybe you could start off by explaining to everybody what your company is, and yeah,
Yeah,
then we can go from there.
definitely. So, well, funny to say, I never thought of like having a clothing company. So when I was younger, I used to do a lot of competing in slopestyle. So I used to just ski a lot, and that's where I met a lot of people, and that's kind of how I have like a really big circle, and like I have a lot of friends that ski a bit everywhere and good contacts. So I tore actually. So started this. It started basically that I tore my ACL when I was 16 years old in my right knee. Did the whole rehab process, and then got back on my skis, and then 4 months later tore the other ACL, so my left knee. And basically, it started after I tore that left ACL. I was so bored, and I started sewing. And my mom showed me kind of how to sew, so I started making hats for fun, messing around with hats, and then started selling a few to some close friends, but nothing under proper like brand, like really just for fun. And then I got the whole screen printing set up in my garage to print t-shirts. So I was making printing t-shirts, like really DIY, just doing it for fun, and I left the whole process. So basically, that's how it started. And then a bit later on, it kind of got the name for the brand, which is kind of a strange name. Sounds a bit off, definitely. But it's the meaning is super straightforward. It's based off a Latin word, which means like gathering people, a big group of people. And I think when I started the whole thing, that was kind of the idea. And like this year, more than ever, like I can really see like people, like I meet people, I make a lot of friends because of this brand, and I just that was the main goal. And it's slowly starting to get to that point, which is awesome. So it kind of started like that. Never like the proper intent to start a brand, but it kind of got to that point without me realizing it, and now it is what it is. So that's kind of the main kind of outline of how this whole project got started about like a year and a half ago.
That's awesome. And so what's your
Yeah.
what are like the primary products that you sell now?
So right now, well, obviously the best product would be snow pants, obviously. Baggy snow pants are super in. Made also a few belts, because belts are in as well, baggy pants and belts to keep the pants up, and hats, beanies. Those are still handmade. So I sew them with my girlfriend. So all the hats are still fleece hats are still hand sewed at my house, but the other stuff is made elsewhere in the manufacturer. So jacket, pants, hats, and belts. So that's primarily like the main things that I make the most at the moment.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's really cool. So year and a half ago, and you started while you were injured. And I think it's funny, like I think that what people do when they're injured says a lot about who they are. Because there's a lot of
yeah,
people have a similar story like that. I think of Nick Martini starting steps
yeah,
because like he was got injured so much. But it just shows that like some minds and some people just can't sit still. Like they get bored
yeah.
too
That's
easy.
I'm always trying to figure out something to do. That's I guess it's who I am. Like I'm rarely bored. Like when I have nothing to do, I'm just on my phone on TikTok, and I hate it. It's so long, so yeah, I like keeping busy
Yeah,
for sure. So
that's
yeah, that's mainly how it started. And I mean, it was super DIY until maybe this past September, I'd say. Like everything was handmade, and in September, I made the first batch of snow pants, and that was like the first manufactured product that I didn't make. So it was definitely a change of pace because I used to spend so much time in my garage, like printing stuff, sewing hats. But it was a change kind of like now all the stuff is made elsewhere. So I don't have to do anything, but it's a lot more, you have to be on top of your stuff and the Excel spreadsheets and all that stuff. So it's different, but yeah, so it kind of just happened naturally, and now it's really like a lot of more spreadsheets and stuff like that, but it's cool. Like it's fun to see the evolution so fast. It's definitely cool.
yeah. So what was the process like for getting manufacturers? Like where are you even having it manufactured right now?
Yeah, so right now, well, I changed. So the first kind of generation, let's say, of snow pants, they were okay, but like the quality, like some of the people bought them, obviously I had a few issues sometimes with the zippers. Like the pants were fine overall, like I really liked them. But after the last drop I made in February, I said that's it. Like I want to change for something a bit better to like make them legit because they still felt kind of, smaller brand vibe, which is fine, but I really wanted to step up and make them legit. So this past year, they were manufactured in Pakistan actually, and then now they're changing manufacturers. So it's definitely a long process, and the quality will be better. But I mean, it's making the whole samples, and making sure to test them out correctly. That's like for next season, I already made samples past December with the new manufacturer, and I've been skiing them since December, like just testing them out because last time I made some, I had a few issues. Probably should have tested them a bit longer. So, sometimes I want to rush stuff, but you just have to chill sometimes and take your time a bit to make sure that no major issues happen at some point. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And so when you're working with like the manufacturer in Pakistan, is it because I've interviewed people before talking about finding manufacturers in
Yeah.
China or wherever. So is
Yeah.
there a point man that you work with? Is it the owner of the factory? Is it just a representative for the factory? Like how do you make that
It was
connection?
Yeah, it was actually from I got the connection from I work in a ski shop
Mm.
also, and my boss over there, well, he does like clothing for the company, the brand of the skate shop. So he kind of hooked me up with that dude, and it's a pretty small operation, so it allowed me to do like fewer quantities. So I'm pretty sure I'm not exactly sure, but we were communicating on the phone. Pretty sure it's the owner directly of the company. So it
Mm.
was very easy to start off because it was smaller quantities. I didn't have to make a ton. But then the new manufacturer, which is in China, China's really, from what I like read and heard and talked to people, it's definitely like they have the most technology to like the quality stuff and all that. So for the new manufacturer, like it's a sales rep because it's a big, it's a big organization. So you
Mm.
talk to the sales rep directly and you kind of communicate what you want and they kind of help you with the whole process and they take care of your orders and all that stuff. So it's really straightforward once you find you manufacture, but it's really like making samples, like test the stuff out. And it is expensive making samples. You pay for them, but they're worth it at the end of the road. That's what I've definitely learned that this year.
Yeah, dude,
So
I think it's so cool. Like, it's just so funny that I don't know. This it's such a to me having no experience manufacturing any like consumer product, like working with a
yeah,
manufacturer seems like such a legit step to make. And
it seems so big. And I remember when I like first starting making hats, and a lot of my homies were like, "You should make snow pants," because it's kind of when the smaller brands were starting off and baggy pants were like really in. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm down," but I have no clue where to start. So, I mean, it's really off. There's websites online that allow you to find manufacturers. There's like these online platforms that you can communicate with people, and it's kind of like Facebook Marketplace but for businesses. So there's a bunch of them. The most classic one would probably be Alibaba, which is kind of everybody knows about it, but you can do a lot of stuff with those small tools. So it's really about, like, honestly, a year ago I couldn't even imagine like making snow pants, but now I'm making even more. So it happens fast, but it's very doable. Yeah.
yeah, do you ever think like I don't know, this is a big conversation in the States, but I'm sure it's in Canada too. Like everyone's talking about, oh, all the manufacturing is going to Asia, all of it's going to Asia. There's nothing we always say there's nothing left in America. Like Detroit's ruined, all these Midwest cities are ruined.
Mm.
So, like, do you look at how easy it is to make stuff in China and you're like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense that everything is made in China just because it's so cheap and easy?"
Well, I mean, I was actually surprised because the new manufacturing I'm doing way more stock because last year, well, this winter I clearly didn't have enough, so I'm making way more, but it's quite more expensive than I thought it was going to be.
Mhm.
Just because I mean, finding this manufacturer was really a I tried a few, but by far like the best quality I found. So they do charge for that. Like it's more expensive than I thought. But I mean, in my research, like nothing came across Canada, North America. I'm sure there's a few, obviously. I know a few that make like hats and hoodies and more like kind of that thing, but really like outwear, which is sometimes, it's more technical to make. There's a lot of testing required in outwear. I feel like there's probably some around in North America, but I didn't find any in my research. So
Yeah.
maybe not at that level yet. I'm sure you can make it happen somehow, but maybe one day. But yeah, so I guess a lot of it obviously shifting in Asia, and everything is there right now. So it
Yeah.
would be cool to make it more in here, and kind of encourage more the North America and more local. But it is what it is at the moment, I guess.
Yeah, listen, you don't make the rules, you're just making it work. So, I want to talk about like the baggy pants because
Yeah.
it seems like every other small business is like a baggy pants business. So were you inspired by like Any Tides and like Revaluate, or like were those at the same time as you? Like who are you looking at,
Um.
or like yeah, you could just talk about
Yeah. Yeah.
your
Yeah.
inspirations a little bit.
Obviously, I think everybody knows like the first kind of company that started making them really trendy was obviously Henry Carlo's brand.
Hmm.
So obviously you can see the kind of inspiration of it behind it. But yeah, Reevaluate, Anti-Tides, all super cool brands as well. But I mean, you can see kind of this. It's simple, like cargo pockets. I guess the bottom elastic was kind of a bit inspired by Reevaluate. I like the touch. So yeah, but very like I like plain stuff that works, like not too extravagant. So they're very simple pants, obviously, and a lot of people are making them. But yeah, definitely kind of a reevaluate inspiration, maybe Harlow a bit, Capiche as well. All super cool brands that, yeah, I think everybody kind of inspires each other off them a bit. So definitely.
Yeah, dude. I was at Sunday River this past weekend, and by the time this comes out,
Yep.
it'll be like a month ago. But
Yep.
dude, there was this little Grom riding down, and I swear to God, his pants were so inflated. Like it was
Yeah.
just these huge, like too big. It's like these big parachutes not flapping at all.
Yeah,
They're just
there is
completely.
obviously there is like some people are pushing it. It's a bit too baggy. Like I like loose pants. I feel like the baggy extreme might slowly not die off, but like more tailored baggy stuff will definitely be the move next year, or which is kind of what I'm doing. Like still super baggy, but kind of refine the look a bit because who knows how the parachute pant look will stay around. But
Yeah,
yeah, obviously baggy pants are trendy at the moment, obviously.
yeah. And like, how do you? Oh, because I feel like I have such a bad sense for like trends. I guess like
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
see
yeah.
trends after they're already popular. Like, so
Yeah.
how do you even stay ahead of that and just decide, like, oh,
Well,
this style of
obviously,
hat is where it's at right now.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I personally ski quite a lot. Like, and I follow kind of, my friends, what they're wearing, what social media, everything. So I also make what I like, like I do take in consideration what like other people would buy because there's no point of making some stuff that nobody would like potentially be interested. So I truly like I make stuff that I like, I would wear personally, and obviously the things that are popular right now. So I mean, definitely like if you look at what I'm doing, it's very simple. Like the hoodie is also super simple. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot based off what I like wearing, what I believe like my friends and the people I'm hooking up gear with would like wearing. And I mean, a lot of my friends or even sometimes my family members would say, "Hey, you should try to do this." So I take a lot of stuff into consideration and try to make it happen to please everybody. So yeah,
That's cool. I mean,
yeah.
we kind of skipped over your youth, but have you always been a fashion head that's like really into all this stuff?
Not particularly. I mean, I started being more interested into like fashion, like basic fashion, like skateboard fashion, let's say, but
Mm.
like probably more like when I was 16-ish, like 15, 16. But not a huge fashion head that much. Really just I like when I ski, like I've like everybody they have that outfit when they're skiing, like when they have it, they just feel that much better and that much like solid. So I guess that was like, oh, I like these clothes or I'm wearing, so I'm trying to create clothes that I'm wearing, and I'm like, yeah, I feel seasoned this. But that's basically it. Not a huge fashion head that much when I was young, not that much, no.
Yeah.
But
I
definitely,
just
yeah, definitely an interest in like brands. Like a lot of inspiration too comes from totally non-skiing related stuff, more like streetwear, small skateboard companies that I feel like are super cool too, that I kind of get inspiration off that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that you weren't into it because I don't know, just like scrolling through Instagram and just seeing the products, it's just like it seems like you naturally have a good sense for what looks good. So it's surprising that you weren't into this.
Yeah.
Like, were you into
Well,
graphic design at all? Like, where are you getting some of these, especially these early like graphics or these early graphic tees and like these crew necks
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
sweatshirts?
yeah.
Like,
I just opened my Instagram too. I'm kind of looking through. A few were actually made at the beginning. It was really so at the beginning, since everything was kind of hand printed and like at the beginning, I really had this heavy inspiration for skateboard brands, like the dogs and the pit bulls. It was really like based off smaller escape brands, off kind of same vibe, Instagram, more social media brands. And since I could print like, let's say, 5 t-shirts because that's what I felt like doing. Well, I just printed 5 hoodies with the graphic that I found cool, and so I made a lot more. I pumped out different graphics a lot more, and over the time, since I got a lot more people like following the sprints. I had to make more. So the thing is that I have a bit less control over like since I'm making so much, I can't just make five of each. Like it's like X amount of this much hoodie and that's it. So, but the early on stages were definitely it was a different look since I was really screen printing in my garage and it was more DIY and definitely influenced off skate brands at the beginning for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
who like cooked
yeah.
up those designs? Was that you?
A bit was me. I had a few, two of them. Yeah, I'm looking at them right now. Yeah, a lot of them were mine. I had a few of there that were my friends. One of my friends in my area that does artwork and album covers, so he made a few as well. And kind of a mix of me, a mix of my friend Emil, that's his name, graphic designer. So he does a bit of that stuff as well. So kind of a mix, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, bro. And I think like if I were going to start a brand, I feel like the part that I'd be excited about most is like seeing my buddies wear it at first. Like is that how it was
Yeah.
at first? Was like just your boys
Well,
buying your
my
stuff?
yeah, it was funny you say, but yeah, at the beginning was very like we ski at this mountain mostly in Montreal called Avila, and we have like in Quebec, like the parks are not as advanced, I feel like, in Vermont or wherever you're at in the States. So the parks are super small, but Avila is the only mountain that has a decent park, which you have this park pass you have to pay for and gives you access to the park. And really everybody skis there. So like everybody just skis at the same spot. And at the beginning, yeah, it was a lot of my close friends, obviously. And it was super funny. Like this season started and they all bought snow pants. So we were like skiing a gang of like 15 dudes with all the same brown and beige pants with the same hoodie. So yeah, it's fun to see, but I think the coolest thing lately is to just I'm scrolling Instagram, I'm going up the hill. Like I was in Quebec last week or 2 weeks ago. I just see people that I don't know with my stuff. I see people like complete strangers with my stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's I think that's the best feeling. It's super cool to see.
Yeah. Was it a weird transition? 'Cause I feel like a lot of people experience this, like, and I even felt it with the podcast. Like at first, when you're doing something, it's just your friends and family being like, "Oh, it's great," no matter how good or bad it is. Was it weird
Yeah.
for you when you saw like complete strangers were like loving what you were making?
Yeah, it was a weird feeling. I think one of the coolest feeling also was um like I don't have like there's no team, but I do like send snow pants and gear to certain people for free. And like some of those people I send stuff is like when I started park skiing in like seventh grade or eighth grade, it's like I follow those people and I thought were like their skiing was so cool. And now I'm sending them stuff and they're saying, yeah, like I see their videos with the stuff on. I'm like, wow, that's super cool. So it's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome to see like slowly kind of bigger names and just have a lot of people kind of respect what I'm doing, and it's fun to see. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like, are you starting to go worldwide with it, or is it mostly still like a Canadian American thing? Like,
Oh,
how
well,
far is your reach?
I'd say like last two drops I made about about 65% is going to the United States.
Hmm.
A lot of Vermont, Colorado, Utah. Well, the ski spots, obviously.
Hmm.
So a lot of Vermont, New York, East Coast, United States, Colorado, Utah, California, really everywhere in the United States, and British Columbia, Calgary. The main Canadian ski spots. Quebec, obviously, and a bit of Europe. Out of the North America, but not that much. But definitely a few people in North America, in Europe, and that area. So definitely more kind of worldwide at this point, almost, which is crazy.
Yeah. Is that getting
Yeah.
expensive to ship everywhere? Like,
Oh, it's the worst. Like, US is actually shipping. The US shipping is really great compared to, because in the US you have way more shipping infrastructure. So shipping in the US is actually, even if it's from Canada, it's pretty affordable. It's really not that bad at all. And usually customers or people don't get charged duties, which is cool. Um, Europe out of North America shipping is the worst. It costs like what I charge is like I lose money on the shipping.
Yeah.
And it's already super expensive. It's like $40 to ship. Canadian dollars was like 30, 34, 35 US dollars. But it's just what it costs to ship. Like if you check other small brands that it's the same thing. It's you have to charge it, but it's expensive. It goes up fast.
Yeah. Would like so when I bought I scanned these magazines and
Yep.
this dude living in Quebec was gonna send me a bunch of them, but
Hmm.
it was gonna be a package that weighed like 30 pounds because it was a ton of magazines. And he lived
Yeah.
like right by the border, so I'm like, dude, just drive over the border and ship it from Vermont to Connecticut instead of shipping it from like Quebec to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Connecticut to save some money. And that's exactly what he did. He just drove over the
Yeah.
border and then saved. I don't even know how much he would have saved off of that, but
Probably a lot.
it was
I
way
I
easier.
remember
Yeah.
like from Montreal to Quebec, which is a 3 hour drive, to
Mhm.
ship whatever standard package is probably around $14, $15 Canadian dollars. And I did this test, like I put an address in Vermont, one in California to ship the same package across the country, and it was $7 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, definitely. But I guess people kind of expect to have shipping. I mean, it is an online business, so you can't get around shipping. It is a big part of every people that have small brands or big online brands, like shipping is a big part of, it's a huge part of the business. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I don't even know how people would have had a small brand before being able to do direct to consumer online. Like,
I don't, yeah.
like just like put it in like a ski shop, I guess. I don't really know.
Yeah. Physical shops. Yeah. You didn't really have the choice. Or obviously you distribute your products in ski shops. The thing is though, with like small brands that the thing is it's hard to find a shop that you want your stuff to be in there and that actually represents what you're doing. I put when I first started the Destructure in Quebec, the shop, pretty well known shop. The I put a lot of my stuff there for sale. We did collabs, so that's kind of like the only physical like shop that I put my stuff in sometimes. But it's different. You make less money, with putting in shops, but it gives you a lot of exposure, and it's something nice to have your stuff in shops sometimes. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's super cool.
That's so awesome, man. I remember like back when I was younger, Lupe, he was big at our
Yeah,
mountain, and he would come back. I think this was when he was linked up with Inspired, so he was selling like Inspired Connecticut T-shirts out of the parking lot at Ski Sunday.
yeah,
I always thought that was such a classic
yeah,
move,
yeah,
like
yeah,
posting up with your trunk open and just slinging shirts.
yeah. Pop-up vibes with just the shirts. Yeah,
That's
it's
so sick.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's I don't know. You ever so and that reminds me of Dan. I think I remember seeing back in the day when Arsenic was young, him posting similar things online. Do you do any like pop up type of gigs?
I did one this year, past March. This like rail jam hosted by one of my friends who does these events, and so I was kind of like the main sponsor for the ski jam.
Mm.
And so we just brought the whole crew. We were like 20 people with skiing there from just like my friend group. And he said, yeah, bring a tent, do whatever. So I rented a tent, had the whole pop-up set up with the racks, the table, got my little card reader so people can tap their cards, whatever. But it wasn't even the fact for like selling stuff. It was just the fact having a tent with products under, having, the rails are in front and just music and vibing. It was super fun. So definitely the goal for next year would be to have more physical events, gathering people together because I feel like you obviously have like it's part of selling stuff, because that's what makes everything run. But I think more rail jams and, kind of free contests for people, I think that's definitely one of the moves and trying to gather people more together around Quebec.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's so funny. I feel like, and this is no offense to you at all. I feel like
Hmm.
I feel like I hadn't heard of this brand until Dan mentioned it to me. And then it's like
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I go and look for it. And I'm like, dude, how have I not heard of this already?
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, it is kind of, it is younger people. It is a kind of like really an Instagram brand that's new. So, I
Yeah.
mean, more kids, obviously, younger people, and like if you Tall T, Mr. Tall T Dan, I mean, he's been doing it for forever, so everybody kind of knows about it. So, I mean, I guess that's the main difference. But yeah,
Yeah.
totally,
But
totally
dude,
normal.
yeah, and I felt the same way about like lizard stuff when I did that one last year, and it just discovered that
Yeah,
it was like, oh, this is like a bunch of people in Salt Lake love this company, and
yeah, he hand makes everything. It's super cool. Yeah. But I
yeah,
mean, it's hard to keep up at some point. There's so many small brands, and I mean, it's kind of like skateboarding, right? I mean,
yeah,
skateboarding, so many small brands, skiing it's kind of getting that way too, but it's cool. Like everybody kind of does their things, and the friend group kind of encourages everybody. So yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it's normal. Yeah.
It's so funny. Like you think, or at least I think this a lot. It's like, oh, what were for a moment I will think, oh, what's happening right now is really unique, and then I'll read something, and it's like, oh, this has always been happening. Like New Schoolers did a 20-year recap, and
Hmm.
and one of the things that they mentioned in it, and I don't want to mess it up, but I believed it was like there was a boom in the early 2000s. Here it is, 2005. The crochet era begins, and
Yeah.
they wrote about how like in 2005 there's just all these dudes like knitting
Make.
beanies,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it blew up huge, and like they're stretching out tall tees. So it's like it's the same thing
Definitely.
just repeating itself over and over and over
Oh
again.
yeah, it's a cycle for sure. We were talking about that with some friends too, but it's like it used to be super baggy back then. I remember seeing clips of Tom Wallish with the orange baggy pants, the blue jacket. It kind of died down, went back to skinnier stuff, and then we're back to square one with baggy pants. Kind of changed a bit, but still kind of the same at some level. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, knitting your hats and sewing has been definitely a trend in skiing for the past year and a half or two.
yeah.
I mean, even else, like outside of skiing, like I see so many people knitting their own stuff, like own crochet hats. So, I mean, it definitely feeds off the outside trends of skiing as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm like a horse with blinders on. I really only know what's happening in skiing. But like you so you're saying this stuff's happening in like snowboarding and skating too? Like all the
Yeah, yeah.
pop-up brands. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a few. I mean, everybody's kind of, it's a cool thing to do. I mean, starting your own brand, I mean, it's when it gets to the point you're trying to push. I mean, I definitely had a few roadblocks trying to like, okay, let's make more technical stuff, but it is super expensive and I'm completely on my own in this. So, I mean, when you're trying to push the envelope a bit and get to the next level, that's where it kind of gets hard. But starting a small brand with your friends and just having fun messing around it's a great way to have fun, in my opinion.
It's wild because like in skating, I know a little bit about skating. Like that's how some of the biggest brands in skating started. It was just like
Obviously,
a couple pros that were
obviously.
great friends, but the difference in skating is there's so much money in that sport.
Yeah,
These little companies just blow the like just really blow up, especially in the
yeah,
past like 20 years.
yeah, and skating is more people skate than ski. Obviously, it's more accessible skating. You just open your front door and you go skating. Skiing, you have to get there. It is expensive, so it's not as accessible.
Yeah, dude. I
Oh,
wish that I really do wish that skiing had like a third of the culture that skating does.
yeah,
Oh, dude, I will go so
yeah,
deep on like skate YouTube. Like they're talking
yeah.
about like the history of the best spots, or they're talking about like I don't know, man.
But
There's
there,
just people
yeah,
that care. Like it feels like people care a lot more about skating.
yeah, but there is, I mean, one thing that I really like, I've played team sports a bit, like I mountain bike in the summer, but there is something really special about like the community in skiing and how people like, we're just skiing with like such like this deep common interest and having fun, like, like you hang out with skiers, it's fun. It's something special, like the people that ski together, like the groups that you create, the people you meet, it's really cool.
Yeah, me and my buddies were just talking about that the other day. Like we were on the mountain, we were just chilling on this trail and just like looking out at the view. And like the people that don't ski, I really do wonder what they think happens at the mountain. Because
Yeah,
you tell your buddy that knows nothing about it, like, oh, I'm going skiing, and they'll see the mountain from a distance,
but
but
they don't get
they
what's
got
actually
no
going
clue.
on.
They got no clue
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah. It's really, yeah. And then the best time of the year, like this time of the year, you finish skiing and everybody's just barbecuing in the parking lot, tailgating. Like it's
Yeah.
fun. It's super fun. It's skiing is the best for that, honestly.
Yeah, we were thinking about going up to Tremblant this weekend, but
Yeah,
it looks like the weather's gonna be so bad, so we might just go to
it's
Sugar Bush
raining.
instead.
It's raining right now. It's supposed to rain all week, all weekend. I believe it's last weekend there.
Yeah,
So, and then the only ski hill that's open after is Vulgus365, which are usually open just on weekends until like May 20th.
yeah,
So yeah, but that's basically it after. But yeah, Trabant's cool. The park is fun. It's definitely yeah, it's a cool spot. I don't ski there much, but it's pretty cool. Yeah,
yeah. We were just going to try to go and enjoy the weather, but because the
yeah,
weather's so shitty, I think
yeah,
we're just gonna bail on it. But
yeah. You won't enjoy the weather if you're going next weekend. That's for sure.
yeah, dude, I always fall into this trap when I'm talking to Canadians because I love learning about Canada. But
Yeah,
I was actually talking to a buddy who went out to Labrador like years ago, or no,
yeah.
He went out to Newfoundland because Labrador is a bit
Newfoundland.
further.
Yep.
So I was trying to go out there. Like, is there anything to do out there? Like, have you been before? Because I've been
I
scouting this out
honestly have
hard.
no clue. I think the furthest I've gone in that direction was Prince Edward Island,
Yeah,
and that's about it. It's cool. I mean, the beach was nice. It was a very small town vibe, like very not. I remember there was a potato chip thing because that's what they do over there. So we went to the potato chip museum, and that was about it. That's all I can remember. But I've never gone to Newfoundland, and that whole Nova Scotia could be pretty cool. Like I know a few people that went surfing there as well.
mm.
But I guess if you know the spots and you know some people there, you kind of have a clue where you're going, it could be definitely cool. But I'm not the best reference for that, honestly.
Yeah, because it's just so funny, man. Like I look at maps all day, and I look at Canada, and it looks like in Quebec, it's like you can't even really go north either. It's like
No,
you're either
in
going
Quebec,
east or
everybody
west.
lives.
Yeah.
No. In Quebec, everybody lives on the St. Lawrence. So like Montreal, kind of like this whole straight Montreal, Quebec City, Gatineau, like that whole area. If you go up north, there's nothing. It's like nobody lives there. It's really deserted. So it's really kind of that that small Montreal area until Quebec in both directions. That's about it. Like everybody kind of lives in. I've never gone outside and like if I go on vacation, it's out west or somewhere else, but I've never like gone up north in Quebec. Like
Yeah, go
there's
see the
not much
polar
to do.
bears.
Yeah.
That's wild, bro. So if you guys are going on a trip somewhere, are you going out to like Vancouver and BC?
I've gone to BC definitely a few times. I've gone skiing this year in Big White, Sun Peaks, and I've gone to Mount Hood also last year. Best trip, so fun. So those are the spots, Whistler, obviously, and that's about that's kind of definitely like to try to ski Europe a bit more, and because everything looks so cool over there, and the people like the vibes over there look really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Dude, yeah, I make myself sound like such an idiot. I know a little I only know a little bit about Canada, but
Hmm.
I know almost nothing about the scene in Europe, bro. Like
Yeah,
if there's someone from Europe listening, dude, hop in the DMs, give me a little rundown of what's going on cuz
yeah. I
I don't
mean,
even know where to start
from
for that, dude.
from what I hear, I mean, there's so many hills over there. Like everything is so close. You can like sleep. Like the spot I would want to go the most would be like in Austria. There's so many cool places that you can ski there. and I was watching. You probably heard about Jib League
Yeah.
lately, the like the coolest thing ever. But like the hills you're skiing, like the park, it looks so fun. Like everything, it kind of looks like a big skate park over there everywhere. So
Yeah, dude.
definitely. But yeah, I mean, I think, and obviously in Quebec, like in Vermont too, a lot of rails. Not like jumps are not big, so it's nice when I get to ski somewhere else to like get some nice big jumps in. But yeah,
Yeah, that's so funny, dude. I've been to Europe a few times, but mostly like Spain and England. I've been to Iceland like twice now, but like never for skiing. And
yeah,
I don't know, dude. It's so far that if I went, I would want to go for like 3 weeks. You
I
know,
know. That's
just
like if you're going out there, like it's a trek. Like you're staying for a bit. You're not just going for a week.
yeah, dude. Shit.
Yeah,
um. All right. Anyways, yeah, that's our little geography. That's our little geography tangent,
yeah. A
because I
little
just think it's.
geography.
I don't know. I think Canada's mad funny. Like I look at like Saskatchewan and even Manitoba,
Oh, I've never
the
been there. And
Winnipegs.
like I've never been in the middle. It's always Quebec, BC, and like really the south of BC again. Like you're almost on the border in Vancouver. So
Yeah, that's
and like
wild.
yeah, and all the people like Quebecers love to drive down to BC, do the haul, but I mean, I don't think people realize how there's nothing like north of Ontario, Manitoba, like it is just empty fields. Like there's nothing cool once you hit like you start hitting BC, Alberta, then there's the Rockies, and oh, okay, we're finally here. But the middle
Yeah,
is it's pretty dead. Yeah,
dude, that's so funny. And the funny part is, the people listening to this episode are mainly going to be probably people in your area. So they're going to hear
yeah,
this and be like, "This kid." They're going to hear me and be like, "This kid is such an idiot." But it's just funny, dude. Like I really got to explore Canada more. Like the past, I think since COVID, I mean, because you couldn't really leave the country, I've explored so
yeah.
much more of the U.S. and just like I only got like
Sport.
three states left in the continental United States, but I have seen like none of Canada. So
Yeah. Well, kind of
I'm
like me. I mean, I've did the classic United States, but I haven't like I I mean I don't go there that often, right? So
yeah,
probably know as much as you in the States that you know about Canada. So it's all good.
yeah, bro. I gotta. You know Chug Life. What's his name? Ian Costco. He's like a
Yeah.
he's an older head. Yeah, he is a bush pilot now up in
Okay.
up wherever. Let's see. He's probably like up in the Yukon. But I'm trying to get on that type of wave at some point, bro, because he's posting all
Yeah.
these videos of him in the middle of nowhere, bro. Like the middle of nowhere,
Yeah, Yukon.
completely
There's
untouched.
every year there's this Canada Cup, this slopestyle competition, Big Air, and every year it's like late November, I think. And like the whole like all the competition kids like they go there for and there's like this nice jump, but it looks so cold. It looks so cold and there's nothing else to do apparently around there. I've never been, but I have a
Yeah.
lot of friends that have gone there and Mount Sema it's called. But yeah,
Yeah.
not much to do around there, I believe. But I don't know, I haven't gone.
Yeah, that's another thing. I never know what's going on in Canada for events. Like I think this one caught a lot of people by surprise, or maybe just people in the States. But that Red Bull event that was like downtown Montreal, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, what was up with that, dude?
Uh, Epic Fest, it's called. Yeah. Um, yeah, I wasn't there actually. I was in British Columbia. I was skiing, but I think it caught everybody by surprise. Like it was on Saint Denis, so like super like downtown, like really in the city, and it was all on all metal construction
Yeah,
and pretty gnarly setup, like super narrow, and the rails were pretty big. But I saw a lot of clips. Like it looked pretty fun. Apparently, there was free beer also, so big party skiing in the city. But yeah, I think it caught everybody by surprise. Like people were expecting something big, and then I remember they posted the like a render of the whole setup, and people were like, "Damn, it's big," and it looked super cool. So yeah,
dude. I gotta
so
stay on top of it.
they're
Red Bull
probably
is so hard
gonna.
to keep up with, dude. Like I
I
never
know.
know what Red Bull events are going on. I just see them after they happen.
Yeah, Yeah. But there's a few big names there skiing. I remember seeing Oski, what's his name, Toboggan, a few people that were there, I believe. But yeah, and a lot of the local kids that were just sending. So I think it was definitely something cool for the ski kind of scene in our area.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
Who are like the local heroes for you guys? Like who are the skiers that either made it or maybe they could even be like a little bit underground, but like who do you guys really look up to up there?
Hmm. It, I don't know, honestly. I mean, there's obviously some classic names in like Quebec skiing, like Alec Marchand, X Games, and he doesn't compete anymore, but great skier. GF Full, another guy
Yeah.
that he he coaches. I don't think he coaches anymore, but he's a coach in the area of film, so he's still like super present. He has this like super dope backyard setup that like he's still super implicated with all the people around skiing Quebec, so it's super cool. Emile Bergeron, another name that I super talented skier. We still, we I saw him skiing at Stoneham like last week, and man, like I've never seen somebody like boost the pipe that high. So there's a lot of there's a lot of good skiers in Quebec, and yeah, there's a lot of amazing skiers. I'm trying to think about like I have a few friends too that are
Yeah,
really
who
like
are the younger guys that you think deserve a shout out? You think there's anyone that's like needs
yeah.
way
Well,
more
there's one of my
attention?
friends. Well, Dylan Deschamps, which he made it to Team Canada, I think last year, but amazing skier. And I remember he started skiing like 5 or 6 years ago or something like that. And I was trampolining with him, and he just completely took off. And he's basically a pro skier at this point. So yeah, and Jeremy Gagne, another he has that like he helps me along this whole business stuff. I mean, he's an amazing skier, and definitely like somebody to look out in my opinion. And probably the last guy that I would give a mention would be Thomas Garneau, Thomas, which is one of my best friends. Amazing skier. He made this insane cut for level one, super known. He didn't quite make it. He got to semifinals, but such an like super talented skier. Like we go skiing, he's like, call me a trick, call me a line. And I call like the most ridiculous lines in my opinion, and every time he nails it. So I hope to see him ski for a long time at a high level, definitely.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, and
Yeah.
speaking of talent, so do you, and this is we'll get into the viewer questions, but I'm gonna get ahead of this one because it's always the same one we get. Like, how do you go about
Hmm.
sponsoring people and giving, because everyone always wants the free stuff, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, as like you're giving stuff, I mean, obviously it's costing you money. So, I mean, you give stuff out to people that you think, well, first of all, kind of represent what you're doing, or if it's a brand, it's a brand. If it's something else, whatever it is, that kind of represent what you're doing correctly, right? And that you usually the people I give stuff or gear to is people that I enjoy skiing. Like I enjoy watching them skiing. I like what this I like their style, whatever. I like them as as a person, and I so that's mostly how it goes. And like obviously some people say, "Oh, it's all about followers." Not necessarily. Like it's really like if I if I enjoy watching the skiing, or like I feel like they represent well the brand, well, that's usually as simple as it goes. Like it's not that complicated in my opinion. That's usually pretty chill about it. And I mean, like I've get like to my close friends, like Thomas and Jeremy talked about, like there's a few people that I give a bit more stuff, and they definitely, put a few stories, tag me, but I really just give like gear to riders that feel like they can, they need gear, whatever. Like it is expensive, so that's as simple as it goes, in my opinion.
yeah, cool.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that's always a very popular viewer question. So, but we can get into the rest of the
obviously.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, Here's an interesting one that we kind of skimmed over. So the full name is Vulgus365.
yeah,
Why the number 365? That's from somebody that's from
yeah,
Caboose.
yeah. Plain and simple as well, kind of said it. Kind of represents like the the whole mob of skiers and whatever. 365 is as simple as I changed it. Used to be no 365 and now there is, but it was like I remember I was finishing my school, doing exams, studying, and I was like printing stuff kind of. It was hard work. I remember it was kind of stressful for nothing. When I think back, I'm like, hey, it wasn't that bad. But it was like I'm doing this all the time. It's every day. Like we're going skiing every day. So it's as simple and corny as 365 days a year. That's what we're doing. So it's as simple as corny as that.
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's too corny. There's definitely, it could
And
be
it adds,
Vulgus. It could be
yeah,
Vulgus 420, like that would be
420,
corny.
boom.
That would be real corny. Um, what about let's see, Raf Diaz. He said, and you just mentioned this. He says, "What's mob worldwide?"
Oh, Raph, he's one of my good friends.
Yeah.
Inside joke. It used to like the first when we were kind of messing around with, I think it was with Thomas, we were messing around with like joke names or whatever, and I ski with Raph, and it was kind of like this, oh, let's call it this, and I think it was called that for like a matter of a day, and yeah, so it's kind of like this inside joke, I guess he's making reference to. But yeah, Raph.
That's funny.
Amazing skier as well, Raph. Yeah, he's super talented.
Yeah. I never saw any of Raf's stuff until Emmett shouted him out, like whenever it was, probably like a year and a half, 2 years ago. Whenever I did that first episode with Emmett, he's like, "Yo, there's this
Yeah,
kid up in Canada, Raf. He's tight."
yeah, he's definitely not the skiing that I can do. Like, I do pretty classic tricks, I guess, but Raph, well, the thing about Raph is he could pull out these wizard butter, whatever trick he does, his magic, but he can also do like two in, press four, eight ways if he wants to, and completely like go full comp jock mode on the rails if he wants to. So
That's funny.
he's a rail god, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Um, so like I said before, I was surprised when I found your company and like saw how big it was. And so this is kind of going along on like making your brand big, but
Hmm.
Fly Fish the East, he said, how important is it to have somewhat established skiers riding for your brand?
Hmm. Very, oh, yeah, very important in my opinion. I mean, even I get influenced sometimes. Like some my favorite skiers, like they wear certain things, and I'm like, oh, like you are kind of more like in tune to certain stuff or brands when people you like your favorite skier wears it, right? So it definitely helps a lot to have some solid riders with that you believe represent the company or brand well. So I have like I'd say a good like 12, 10 to 12 people that I hook up gear with, and but yeah, it's definitely important. Like they kind of represent the skiers kind of represent the brand for the skiing part. So it's definitely important. Yeah, if you look at the big brands, like they have a full pro team with very well-known riders. So it does play, yeah, it's super important. Obviously, like I started out not too long ago. It's not this huge major company, so like there's no pro skiers on the team, obviously, but they're all kids and skiers that I find I like to ski, and they kind of all support me and the project. So yeah, it's definitely important for sure.
Yeah. Are there any pros that you like really feel like would represent the brand well? Like you feel the brand and them line up really well that you want to try to get them some gear to wear?
I'm trying to think.
Or like a just like a dream, like if Henrik was wearing
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah,
one,
like
that
a
would be
dream
sick.
skier, whatever. Um, not I can like. I think I like the idea. Well, obviously, probably my favorite skier at the moment, or somebody that I really like skiing. I was Simo spelled on Instagram. Was in Slush Cup. That would definitely be cool. But I like the idea of like it is kind of a smaller, rugged brand feel. So the fact of having skiers that are pretty well known, like there's some people I give gear that have like they're pretty well known, but still kind of more underground-ish. So it kind of follows the whole smaller brand, like smaller-ish skiers. And I'm very like the people that ride my stuff are great skiers, and I kind of like I like the style. So I'm happy with that. Yeah, definitely. But probably Spelda would be the on Instagram, the favorite skier.
Yeah, that's tight.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got a couple other random ones.
Hmm.
Let's see. Malik, he said, "When are you gonna make a size medium?"
This upcoming winter.
Yeah,
Yeah, I started off with XL and XXL pants because it was cheaper, couldn't afford to make a full sizing. So just went with the baggier and it did sell, but for the smaller people and the ladies, yeah, medium, large, the whole kit.
yeah,
The more people, yeah.
that's tight. Matthew asked. He said, "What's your favorite pants that you've made?"
My favorite pants I've made will probably be all the ones that haven't been released yet. So I made these light gray pants that probably my favorite pants I've made ever. So gonna make those during the summer and then release them in early fall, hopefully. But yeah, the gray snow pants, and I also make jeans in the summer, kind of baggy jeans to follow the whole baggy pant, and I enjoy baggy jeans as well. So, and the next baggy jeans I'm making. So, they're probably my two favorite pants I've made to be released soon.
Oh, that's cool. Uh, McKinley's wondering, when will the light brown pants drop again?
uh, I I don't even know myself, honestly. Light brown has definitely been, yeah, I've got so many messages about light brown pants, but next winter, that's for sure. It's not gonna be this winter because winter is kind of coming to an end here, but probably next winter at some point. Yeah.
Cool. Um, this one's funny, just because I think he might have asked it for the previous one that I did, but Matt said, "How do you deal with people getting mad about limited drops?"
Yeah. It kind of happened. I made the last snowpan drop in February. Like the website crashed. Like it still to this day kind of feels absurd, like how like snowpants can sell in 5 minutes and the whole website crashing. It was very absurd and still kind of feels like, wow, like people are really they're down for baggy snowpants, which is cool. But yeah, people were kind of like, ah, you misleaded us. Like you've been teasing a draw for 2 months and it sells out in 5 minutes. Like this is trash. I'm like, I get it, but I mean, it's at some point it is a small company and I'm on my own. Like making a large inventory is super expensive, obviously. So I kind of do what I can. I take the money I make, put it right back into making more snow pants. So I just put everything, the money I make goes right back into it. So, you just try to have to explain them as best as you can. And most of the people like totally understand and they're super supportive. It's always like the people, extreme people that it's always those that kind of come first. And you're like, oh, wow. But it's pretty chill overall. Yeah.
That's wild that people would get upset with you for like.
It is what it is.
That's funny to me, bro.
Yeah.
All right, we only got a few more. Wide
I
pants.
got
Yeah, go ahead.
I got 10% on my phone left. I'm probably gonna be
Perfect.
chill.
No, we're chilling. We're chilling. So Wide
Cool.
Pants said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate a hangover Stoneham Park sesh?
White pants, yeah. Louis, one of my good friends, we actually skied at Stoneham last week, and we actually filmed a few clips, but I think everybody skiing was a bit hungover that day. So definitely a slow start to the day. And Stoneham it's like a bigger park than where I ski usually. So like where I ski, it snows and they don't really like the rails stay pretty low, but Stoneham, like they take the time to like shovel around the rails and everything. So everything felt like so big that morning. I was like, oh. So the younger guns that are a bit more talented than me, well, a lot more talented than me, ski, and I was the filmer with white pants. So that's kind of the backstory.
That's awesome. And last question, Eric Grimm, what are we gonna see next?
Yeah. So kind of chapter two, in my opinion, like last drop I made was kind of the end of the old manufacturer, and chapter two is definitely focused on quality, like I said. So I spent a lot of time testing stuff, and so obviously snow pants again improved, way more improved, the best version in my opinion. Um, Zipper hoodies, kind of, I've been digging them lately, kind of coming back. So hoodies, jackets, like full on 20K shells, uh, rain jackets, puffer jackets, like really more kind of advanced outwear at this point, I feel like. And I mean, I think that's kind of the move. And so that's kind of what you're going to see next year. And summer related stuff this year, obviously, and more belts and hats, but the focus will definitely be on improving and making technical outwear as much as possible in the next season. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I want to get it all in before your phone dies. First of all, thank you for coming on. Let
Yeah, thank you for
let
having me. It's so cool to, I didn't think I'd be doing a podcast. I remember getting messages like, oh, wow, cool. So,
yeah.
yeah,
Dude, I'm
it's
happy to have
awesome.
you. Let everyone know where
Yeah.
they could find all your stuff and where they could find all these new drops.
Yeah, well, Instagram is mostly at Vulgus365 on Instagram. Um, Also, there's a mailing list on the website that I try to send out emails and early access sometimes to the drop. So if you just type in your email, you could get emails, and when there's drops, you can free access. And yeah, that's mostly it. YouTube also don't put I don't post much on YouTube. We'll try to make more videos, but mostly Instagram, mailing list, and yeah, that's about it.
Boom.